Nyawera and your team of DLBA, Richard and your team of the chamber, exhibitors, na zote ambao tuko hapa. Hamjambo, salimiane namna hiyo. Hamjambo. Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity now to come and see some of the things that we are doing, and particularly what you can say homegrown from our own sub-county here in Kikuyu. I want to thank you most sincerely. I want to thank Nyawera and her team because I want to say that the future belongs to the organized. And I'm very, very excited to see a small, young group sitting together and thinking about big ideas that's traverse all the political noise and things that we hear around. This is a clear manifestation of what we need to do as we do other things. I'm very, very excited because you did this without any ideology, you did this without any inclination, but to bring out the best out of what our people are doing. So I really would want to thank you. I want to thank all the exhibitors. I want to say that this is the third exhibition that we've managed to organize and attend in Kiambu County in the last 4 months. We had a similar exhibition in Thika, and we were very, very excited to see what our people are doing in order to gauge ourselves in terms of the constraints and challenges, but also looking and exploring opportunities that exist so that we can move to the next level. And we agreed with the exhibitors on a number of things which we have started working on. Unfortunately, a lot of this, has been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We've just come out of another major event on Kiambu Road. Major in the sense that it was combining two things. First, it is the first ever of its own kind farmers market. It is an idea that has been developed by a family, but an idea that is worldwide. What Nyawera and her team are doing is nothing new. That is what the rest of the world has been doing. It's only that sometimes we are preoccupied with other things and we forget that if we lock ourselves in a small room and think that the world is not moving, it is you who will not be moving. The world will still continue to move. The farmers market concept, as I told them, is a concept where some of the most advanced cities have promoted it. I know people like Richard Nungu, why they traveled. And if you go to the UK, you will find a market called Shepherd Bush or Liverpool Street. Those are areas where farmers themselves produce and they come and sell. I was working in Washington State, in a city called Seattle. The best farmers market is in Seattle. If you go and Google farmers market in Seattle, you will see that concept. And seeing that happening in Kiambu, and I gave a commitment, because what is farmers market? The farmers are producing and they are bringing it direct to consumers. They are not passing through any middleman, which means the consumer is able to get the product at affordable price, and that price goes direct to the farmer without being deducted by anybody, whether a service provider or not. At the same time, the quality of the produce is first class. So that's the concept of farmers market. And it was so exciting to see a farmers market that has been developed that way, and we gave a commitment. Whether we are going to work with that family or some other entrepreneurs, that we are going to open 4 other farmers market in Kiambu. We'll do one on Thika Road or 2. We'll do another one on Nakuru or Tuseme Rimuru Road between here and 87, because that's where our area is. We will look for other areas so that we can do 4 of them. We've been thinking about doing one at Sokomjinga. We've always been wanting. Now we want to put up a market because we've been put under too much pressure that people want a market. So mtoto akililiwa embe mpe. And we are telling them, you don't need a market. What you need is a farmer's market with the concept of Deramea. You know, those of you who have traveled that, you know, you enter in, you can buy your carrots cleaned, packaged, you know, at an affordable price, or even your lettuce or your spinach. So these are the concepts that we are working with. So we've just come out of that. You know, that is the first concept. But more importantly, and working with the Kenya Climate Innovation Center, supported by the Danish Embassy, is starting to incubate small businesses. What was exciting was how people have started their own small businesses. Like we have seen honey, we've seen herbs, people are grinding herbs, we've seen all kinds of initiatives. We've seen people making pre and probiotic yogurt. And starting in a small way, supported by the KCIC, but wanting to grow. And the problem is that most of these things are done manually. So if you are doing herbs, hibiscus or whatever, you are grinding it manually. And what KCIC is doing is to help those small entrepreneurs to start mechanizing the grinding. And that is the concept that we have been lacking. Even as we talk about all our economic models, the concept of small and medium enterprises growing into bigger enterprises has always been gauged on automation of production. We need to automate the production of the jembe. We need to automate the production of the karai that you see. That is how China, Thailand, South Korea developed. So somebody is spending 5 hours doing one karai. How do you bring in science so that you can do 1,000 karais in 1 hour? Then you bring down the cost of production, you bring down the price. So that's what was happening today. That the Kenya Climate Innovation Center is supporting those small entrepreneurs on how they can mechanize and how they can access market. And you come here and see businesses, ordinary businesses, some of them very innovative, but others ordinary businesses like water. Okay? Now the question is, how do we support those people so that, one, they can bring down their cost of production? Because the problem is our cost of production is too high. You know, Richard talks about having gone to Egypt. The cost of power in Egypt is probably 20% of what it is here. So if you are doing something that is solar driven, that is power driven, you and Egypt will not be able to compete because of how much we are spending on power. So how do we make conditions conducive for these people so that their businesses can scale up? Again, if we talk about economic models, if you look at Asia, and I want to challenge people who are talking about economic models to read a book called How Asia Works. Go Google it. It will tell you that the most important thing for our people is to access working capital that is affordable. If everybody can be able to access working capital at 3% interest rate without any risks, you will see how these guys will grow. Instead of producing 10 kiondos, they will produce 300 kiondos. And we saw that happening during Kibaki's time, when access to credit was made and businesses started to flourish. You started seeing stores were open all across Nairobi. So those are the issues that we really need. So we, as a county government, what we are going to do and what we have committed to do is to work with them so that we can facilitate business and work with the people like the chamber, work with people like Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and work with our financial institutions so that, one, we can not only subsidize the interest rates, and we are working with KCB. We have an arrangement with KCB where once you go through a business development service where you are shown, because a lot of business people, you just enter into business, Nyawera, and you don't know the difference between income and profit. You don't know even how to keep records. You don't know even what to do to go and register a business. So what we are doing is, first of all, to take people through a business development service exposition, because I don't want to call it a course. And we as Kiambu County are identifying an institution that will become a center for business development service. You go there for a week. We don't want to make you have a commerce degree. You go there for a week and you are taught very basic things about business. You need to register, you need to do your tax returns, you need, if you have these employees, you need to have NHIF and all of that. And then we recommend you to go to KCB, and on KCB, you get a facility. If you get 100,000, 200,000, instead of paying the interest rate of 13%, we have subsidized 6% and you pay 7%. So for every loan that you take, we will pay 6% as a county, and you will pay 7%. But we are going further and looking for other partners who we are telling even 7% is high. So if you have some grant money, why don't you come and work with us, and let's bring that interest rate to 3%. So that at 3%, you can be able to access your 200, 300, and turn out your business. Then we come into the case of de-risking, removing the guarantee requirement by saying, as long as you have entered into that, we have kept in some money somewhere. In case of default, the bank will fall back on that money. So you don't have to be asked to produce any security, because young people do not have security. Young people do not have land. They do not have logbooks. It's just like asking them that they want you to have 10 years experience to be employed as a sweeper. There's somebody who left the university last year. But it means we are saying, I'm not employing you. So these are some of the things that we are doing in order to work with our business people. But we are going further. And you've heard Nyawera talk about municipalities. And I want to talk about Kikuyu. And what I would want us to do, because I've seen a lot of initiatives from young people. Wakoigi there, dealing with Ondire, Nyawera with her team and others. Let's sit down and let's ask ourselves, what are some of the things that we need to do in order to make business flourish and prosper in Kikuyu? I have committed to appoint a consulting firm to come and plan the Kikuyu of the next 10 years or 15 years. Because if we had done that, we would not have been bypassed by Southern Bypass. We would have said, Southern Bypass, a bypass is a bypass, by the way, if you don't know. It is called bypass. So it was supposed to bypass us, which means it was supposed to kill us. And I appreciate really the people all the people that were involved in coming in with all these afterthought, methods, which has opened Kikuyu a bit. But it's still an afterthought. At least I'm happy that we have intervened in Wangige. Because first we said Wangige is not going to be cut into two, because if ukisimama pale kwa PCA, uangalie upande ule, you always get this concept that ukipata kibati kubwa uweke juu, you still have one same Kikuyu na magari itapita chini. How come that we didn't think about that? So now we are thinking about it in Wangige. And we approach His Excellency the President and he gave us the tunnel. So we'll have a tunnel in Wangige. Wagige will not be split into two. On top of the tunnel, there will be People's Park. So we will identify a farm to come and tell us planning for Kikuyu and how we need to space it out. But in the meantime, there are certain things that we need to do. We know that traffic congestion in Kikuyu is a problem. We need to think about bypasses. And all of this we need to plan together. If you are coming and we are putting in through the Kenya Urban Support Program, the road from Derry coming all the way to Kikuyu here. Now you can imagine if you are coming from Derry or if you're coming from Deia, you can come in and instead of coming to Kikuyu, you proceed. Or if you're coming from Southern Bypass, okay, just at the point where there is that dead end of this road, if it connects, you can come from Southern Bypass, pass through Kikuyu and go all the way to Derry and go all the way to Deia without passing through Kikuyu town. So we need to think innovatively so that we can open up the town. We need to think, and we've done that. Kikuyu used to have great water problems. I can tell you that water problems in Kikuyu are a forgone thing. We have enough water for Kikuyu town. All we need to do now is to reticulate it better. We have 6 boreholes down here in Ondire with very high yields, some producing 100 and something cubic per hour. And we are articulating that to come to the Ira, to come to town, to come to all the way going to Udero, going all the way to Kino. Some has gone to Deia. But Kikuyu town itself will have adequate water for planning over the next 5 or so years to come. So that without water, you cannot plan the business that we are seeing here. So these are some of the things that we as a county are working on. The road infrastructure, we are still not done. And very soon, we'll start designing the Kidifamako Road. It will be designed, and we have part of the money to start constructing Kidifamako Road. The money is already in the account. I can tell you that. I can tell you, Kidifamako people, we have part of the money. Okay? And when we get the rest of the money, we will complete, but we will start because we don't do the road in one day. So we want to improve. And when we are advised by our planners, we will see. So we'll sit together and improve the business environment that we are working in. We've been having issues with single business permit. We've been having issues with physical plans, how they are approved, and who do you pay? Do you pay the askari? Or do you pay the officer? Or do you pay to the county? We know that. We know who you pay. But I want to challenge you. And this is what we've been talking, saying, when you pay the askari or the officer, you have always to pay another officer because I'll move that officer. So be prepared to be paying every officer that comes. But if you pay the county and display your permit on your door, any officer who comes will not touch you. I don't know what makes us feel that bribe is cheaper than paying what is ordinarily supposed to be paid. Shortcuts are not the shortest. They are wrong cuts. So we'll be coming up, I have discussed with my revenue team, and we'll be coming up with mechanisms to ensure that we also improve our efficiency. Because some of the reasons that makes you pay the askari is also because they tell you if you go through the normal process, there's a lot of delay. It's very bureaucratic. Utakaa miezi 6 bila kupata. What we are doing is we are working on making sure that we have a service charter that tells you if you put it in today, within the next 5-7 days, you get your approval approved. So we are working on all of that to improve the business environment. So I don't want to bore you. I want really to appreciate and thank you and say that the future belongs to the organized. We are Kiambu County. We have a market in Nairobi here. When we buy raw materials, like we have seen a number of organizations that are buying raw materials in Nairobi and coming to do their formulations here. We have some of the lowest costs because it's just 20 minutes, you are the city center, you buy. Southern bypass is now here. Within 20 minutes, uko industrial area, umenunua, umerudi hapa. Some of the advantages that we are having as Kikuyu and as Kiambu County, they are not being enjoyed by other counties. But unfortunately, we are not making use of it. Because when we have too much energy, we use it on friction. I want to urge you, particularly business community, now that we have this energy, let us use it for movement. Let's not use it for friction. Let's make Kikuyu one of the best towns, upcoming towns. If you plan it properly, it can be an example to others. Same with Roiro, because Roiro is also coming up very, very, very fast. Same with Ruaka. Look at Ruaka now. If we are not careful, Ruaka is going to be like another, slum area. So these are areas that I think we can work together, but I want to thank you most sincerely, the exhibitors. We'll get your contacts, and I think what we need to do, Richard and Yawera, is that after you've done the exhibition, we can organize to have a roundtable discussion and say, what are some of the constraints, what are some of the challenges, and what opportunities exist, and what do we need in order to move to the next level. Finally, it's just to tell you that I'm happy and unhappy because I see some people without masks. COVID is back in a big way. And please take this very seriously. COVID is back in a big way. We are already overwhelmed in Tigoni. And we may not be able to take any more patients, not because they have exhausted our beds, but because we cannot cope with provision of oxygen. Okay? We are now receiving 4 tons of oxygen every 12 hours. Our number today will probably reach 200. So we've actually even made a decision to open all our level 5 other hospitals and to start reducing even the normal patients. We'll be opening some of the other hospitals where the ordinary patients can go, but we're overwhelmed. And our health systems are going to be overwhelmed. So we are urging you, please, let us observe the COVID-19 protocols. Keeping the distance, putting on your masks, sanitizing more than ever before. We are also urging the public places, including bars and restaurants, to observe the COVID protocols. Otherwise, I can assure you from tomorrow, it's not going to be easy at all. We've also urged the churches to make sure that they only allow a third of their followers. I think by Monday we will announce other measures, including burial and including Naita Mombolezi, Mashakaya. All of that, we are going to be very, very strict, because if we allow our health systems to be overwhelmed, then we all drop dead like we saw in India. But I can tell you, even at the peak of wave 1, we never went beyond 110. But today, we are reaching 200. We've won very few patients who are using oxygen. Today, 95% of the patients are using oxygen, and not just ordinary oxygen. Imagine this, 15 liters per minute. So that's the situation. I don't want to create some fear and despondency and whatever. But you know that when somebody is, unajua tumerudi sasa kusalimiana. Kiona mtu anakusalimia ujue anakupea COVID. Kiona mtu ambaye hana mask, ujue wewe ako na COVID na wewe una, nataka upate. So let me stop there with that bad news and say once again, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. And let Kikuyu be a shining example of other sub-countries. Thank you, God bless. Oh, I am told that nifunge officially, but hatujafika jioni. So with that, I think it's my honor and pleasure to declare the Expo exhibition officially closed. Thank you.